Okay.
Yes.
So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this session on gamification. We'll start this session with a quote from George Bernard Shaw, which is that we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. So, starting with the agenda of today's session, in the first part of the session, we will cover what is gamification and what is the few examples of gamification and the market size. In the next session, in next part, we will look at gamification framework and the self-determination theory, and along with the gamification flow. The next part of the session will cover the gamification elements and the design framework. And the last part will be the gamification around us, where we will look at a few practical examples such as Flipkart, Amazon, etc. And what are the future trends and pitfalls for gamification. Plus, obviously, there's a bonus level. And if you win the bonus level, there's a prize for each and every one of you. So we will start. What is gamification? So gamification is a process of using game thinking, and game mechanics to solve problems and engage audiences in non-game context. But to be very honest, I look at it more from the pictorial view. This is a boy who's trying to make his book into a fun game by connecting a game controller to the book. So that is what gamification is about. It is not about actually playing games. It is about actually achieving results by a defined set of actions, but in a fun manner, so that the user does not feel that he's actually doing a task. He's actually playing a game. So why gamification? How many of you know this? Can somebody tell me what is this?
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Periodic table.
That's a period. Yeah, periodic table.
Yes,
Periodic
all of
table.
would have learned this about in our eighth class, ninth class chemistry classes,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
And it was very easy to remember, right?
Bilkul,
Very easy
sir.
to remember and everything what was going, which table, which group, and which period is period 2, period 3. So we'll try a bit of gamification to try and learn. Let's say period 2, which is lithium, beryllium, barium, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, and neon. And we'll try for the same for let's say group 13, which is barium, aluminium, gallium, indium, tellurium, and nelium. Okay. So just try and learn this. Would anybody like to now give a attempt to these two periods?
Bulgari.
So let's try. Yeah, sorry, somebody's saying something.
Bulgari.
Fine. So we'll try something a bit, a very simple example of gamification, which is mnemonics. I think a lot of would have tried it in our school times, which is which is a very simple mnemonic for elements of period 2, which is little Betty became Charlie's number one friend and neighbor. As long as you can remember the sentence, you can now very easily tell the elements of period 2, which is lithium, beryllium, barium, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, and neon, right? So very simple way of remembering a very complicated sequence of metals in the in the periodic table. Same way, chemistry sir gives Sankey problems. So this tells you carbon, silicon, gallium, stannum, and plumbum, which is lead. So this tells you the elements of group 14. So very simple way of gamification is mnemonics, which we have probably a few would have tried this in basic school. Now let's look at one more example, which will actually open up gamification in a very fun manner. So here's a task for all of you. Okay. So I've got a number pad on my left side of the screen where you can see numbers from 1 to 6. And the task is to push button 3 for 5 seconds, push button 6 for 1 second, and so on and so forth, which is mentioned on the screen. The question is that how much payment do you want to complete this task? Right? It's a boring task. It's a mundane task. Nobody would like to do this task, right? All of us agree that why push some buttons in some random sequence, and at that too with a timer at best, right? A very complicated task, and it's not going to be at all fun. So let's apply gamification to this task and see how we can make it more fun for our users. So what we will do is, okay, what we will turn the task into a game. Okay. And so how about I turn this task into a screen. I rearrange the numbers into a specific manner. I next give it a very nice paint job, and I turn the screen into a game. Now if you execute the same task, which is push button 3 for 5 seconds, push button 6 for 1 second, it will exactly do what you were to have to do to clear round 1. Now the question would change: how much payment would you make to play this game? Now, please note the sequence of pushing the buttons is exactly the same as previous one. But since we have applied gamification, it's actually people will queue up to play this game versus the earlier one you would have to probably pay people to do the task. So that is what gamification is about. End objective that is remains the same, that somebody is pushing the buttons in a specific sequence for some specified time period. But the fun factor comes into play, and the user does not feel that he's actually executing a task, but rather playing a game. Okay, so now that we have understood what gamification is about, let's look at gamification market by region. These are this is a study by the markets and market analysis, where they have given a global gamification market is projected to grow from 9 billion to over 30 billion by end of next year, which is a compounded annual growth rate of 27%. North America has a largest share due to high penetration, but APAC region is also set to grow at the highest rate because of the high proliferation of smartphones and 5G phones now available. Now, coming to the market, gamification market by the industry segment, retail is the top adopter of gamified solutions, which is almost a 30% market share, whereas education follows closely as the next most popular sector. BFSI sector is also using gamification extensively to engage its customers, and across sectors, training and learning is one key vertical where gamification is being aggressively adopted. Gamification impact. It's almost 80% of US workers in a survey, it was found that from gamification by Finance Online, that 80% of US workers believe that game based learning is more engaging. And 60% of the employees, there's a 60% increase in employees' engagement as a result of gamification training. From a training perspective, 50% improvement in productivity because of gamification training features, and 50% business transformation programs that failed due to poor engagement had lower gamification. And coming to gamification in operations, employees who are aged even 45 plus agree that gamification would improve that work is almost 100%. Almost each and every employee who's at a certain level of experience believes that gamification is improving their work. Almost 90% of the employees agree that it would make them more productive, and 85% of the employees who enjoy gamification software solution at work. Now let's look at the gamification impact in work. 90% of the employees are more productive when they use gamification. 70% of the workers are more likely to stay at a company for 3+ years when the tasks are gamified. This is actually a very key revealing insight. Look at it. Companies spend so much on retaining their employees and trying to make their work more engageful. Gamification can be a key tool in this strategy. Almost 72% of the people believe that gamification inspires them to work harder, and 95% of the employees enjoy using gamified systems. Now let's look at gamification impact in social media. 29% of the websites with gamification experience, a 29% increase in site actions, 13% commenting is increased by gamification, and social sharing is increased by almost 22% in social media by gamification. And a 70% almost gamification amplifies content discovery, increasing the activity feed. So moving on to level 2, which is the part 2 of our session today, which is the gamification framework and the self-determination theory, a very important part of our session today, and then we will continue with the gamification flow. So how to do gamification? So most websites and most courses that you look at will typically go towards the PBL framework, which is the points, badges, and leaderboard. They will give you some kind of points, they'll give you some kind of badges, and they'll try and get you into a leaderboard, which is the PBL framework. But actually, if you want to do true gamification, then it does not start with the game elements of PBL framework. It actually starts with our core drives. This is a very important part of our session today, which is the gamification octalysis framework by Dr. Yu Kai Chow. He has presented an octalysis framework consisted of our 8 core drives. We will look at each of these core drives in a more detailed manner in the following slides. First, let's looking at epic meaning. What is meaning about? Meaning is to basically give purpose to the task. If you want to gamify some task, you have to give purpose to the task. Otherwise, the user will not be engaged. You have to give some kind of feeling that yes, you can save the world. That is what gives the meaning to the task. You can use beginner's luck. There are various kinds of strategies you can use, such as beginner's luck to simulate meaning in the meaning code drive. Users believe they are lucky to get that amazing sword at the very beginning of the game. So that gives them that meaning that yes, I am, supposed to save, complete this task. I'm supposed to have, that is will give them purpose to the task. Let's look at one video, a small video presentation on how purpose and meaning can be engaged as a code drive for the gamification. Now, here the challenge is that there are a bunch of, there are kids in a hospital who are undergoing cancer treatment. And for their cancer treatment to be effective, information has to be collected daily and filled in a simple manner because these are, very little kids who are undergoing cancer.
This is the hospital for sick children in Toronto. Within these walls, every single year, thousands of children are battling cancer and are having to undergo terribly painful treatments. Children like Olivia, who 8 months ago was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma. The hospital is continually trying to minimize this pain, but to do it, they must first understand it better, and most importantly, discover the medications that are working best. To do this, they need these young patients to record exactly how they're feeling in a pain journal. The challenge is that after multiple chemotherapy and radiation treatments, many kids are too tired or discouraged to even hold a pen, much less keep a detailed journal. And the sad reality is that if this data is not collected daily, it's useless. We needed to find a creative solution to collect data every single day. And with the Pain Squad mobile app, that's just what we did. To begin, our patients were enlisted as recruits in Pain Squad, a special police force dedicated to hunting down pain. We gave each recruit an Apple iPhone loaded with the Pain Squad mobile app. Then twice a day, an alert from headquarters told patients it was time to complete their pain reporting mission. Because the reports worked with iPhone's user-friendly touchscreen, kids could easily fill them out. With a simple flick of the finger, they could identify exactly where and how much it hurt, as well as which medications were working best. But making it easy was, well, the easy part. We knew to be truly successful, we needed to find a way to encourage our young target daily. So we called in some police reinforcements.
Hey, rookie. Welcome to Pain Squad. It's really great you're here. We need all the help we can get to help put pain in its place.
We brought together the casts of Canada's top police dramas, Flashpoint and Rookie Blue, and filmed a series of inspiring videos, then deployed them throughout the app. To encourage the kids to fill in their reports, we built in a graduation structure. When a recruit completed 3 reports in a row, they received a message from HQ informing them that they were moving up the ranks.
You are now officially a full-fledged detective in Pain Squad. Well done. At this rate, you might even be the next chief.
Don't stop now. You're almost there.
You truly are one of Pain Squad's best and brightest. Keep it up.
Back inside the precinct, recruits could check to see when to fill out their reports and how many badges they had earned. And once their last report was filed, they were sent one final message informing them that they were being retired from the field.
But this case isn't closed yet. Your squad is still fighting. We couldn't have done it without you. So way to go.
The app is an excellent tool.
So if you look at it, the task was very, fairly bit of challenging. But the key things that they did to make it more successful is,
That's her control.
yeah. So they made a simple UI design for the kids, but the more important part was TV actors of the police dramas were engaged for inspiring the kids. This gave a very purpose and meaning to the task so that the kids were ensured, and there was a graduation structure also implemented with kids, which is on the PBL framework lines, but it also gave a purpose and meaning to the task, which was the key success factor in the gamification design used here, and the timely reminder and badges for the key success factor. Now, moving on to the next core drive, which is empowerment. This is about achieving mastery by leveling up. It is about having a desire to improve and express creativity, see the results, receive feedback, and respond. One of the very popular examples of this core drive being used is in the Nike Club. Now, I guess a few would have might have used this app as well, wherein Nike gives you daily tracker of how much you are running and the kind of points that you can achieve to achieve fitness results. This is about empowering you as an individual user to achieve your fitness results. This has been a very successful app for the Nike team in terms of achieving desired results for the company. Moving on to the next core drive, which is social influence. This is about competing and being better than your peers. It also involves factors such as mentorship or engaging envy or competition. So let's look at how O-Power in Canada used ran a program for saving powers by competing with your neighbors. The challenge here was to encourage people to use less energy and to challenge the existing norm.
On the hottest days in the summer, utilities deployed demand response programs to ensure grid reliability and lower costs for customers. However, utilities have struggled to engage customers in demand response programs. In fact, only 5% of U.S. households currently take part in their utility programs. To increase engagement, OPower is introducing a new behavioral demand response platform, a solution that enables utilities to engage all of their customers just by using smart meters, big data analytics, and personalized communications. Meet Ben and Elizabeth. They have recently joined their utilities Peak Rewards program. At the beginning of the season, Ben receives a welcome package, introducing him to the program and recommending small changes his family can make. Before a peak event, Ben and Elizabeth receive messages from their utility through their favorite channel. Elizabeth likes email, while Ben prefers text messages. They can even choose to be notified over the phone. By making small changes, like turning up their thermostat a few degrees, delaying laundry, or running the dishwasher after the event, Ben and Elizabeth can benefit themselves and their utility. After the peak event, Ben and Elizabeth are provided with personalized information about how they performed, how they stack up, and how they can improve their performance on future events. Elizabeth is so excited about her savings that she shares on social networks. After a few events, they receive a personalized report in the mail. Ben and Elizabeth discuss their results and how they can continue to save energy when the grid needs it most. This scenario is one of many opportunities utilities have to leverage OPower's behavioral demand response platform as a foundation for their new and existing demand response programs.
So this was a very successful program at OPower in Canada.
On the hottest days in the
So results were there was over $120 million in utility bill savings and over 1 terawatt of energy savings in this program. And the key success factors was showing comparison with your neighbors, small changes at a time, and messages as per preference, along with constant feedback on performance. Now, moving forward on unpredictability. So this is the core drive which engages the fun of the suspense. What is you don't know what's next and the fun of the unknown. Can somebody tell me what is this game picture that I have put in the screen? It was a very popular game few years back. Some of you might recognize this. Most of you would have played it as well. Can somebody tell me which game is this? Anyone?
Anyone has played this game?
So the task was to carry around a phone with the app installed, looking for something.
Yes. Anyone?
So
Yes, Sarpreet ma'am.
Yes.
We cannot hear you.
I don't know.
Turtle Ninja.
no, this is not Turtle Ninja. This is actually Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Yes. So this is Pokemon. I guess a lot of would have played it. It's now a very popular character among kids. But there was a time in I think around 6-7 years back when this was one of the craze. You had to go around looking
Yes.
for Pokemons, going with your phone with the app installed on your phone. So this was about the unpredictability code drive. Then looking at avoidance, I think this is a fairly common code drive which is used across apps today. It is about punishing negative behavior and avoiding the break-in positive behavior. For example, streaks in most apps today focus on the avoidance code drive. The next code drive that we look at is scarcity. It is about the FOMO factor, fear of missing out. Then reducing availability artificially to create scarcity. It is also about the invite-only model on which you can use the code drive of scarcity. I guess Redmi's flash sales of mobiles. Redmi adopted a very unique strategy by gamification of having a flash sales of their mobiles. They did not follow a online, an offline distribution strategy, which had a massive cost, which enabled them to sell mobiles online, and that too in flash. Sorry, there's some echo. Yeah. So this was one key thing. I think a very similar strategy by used Jio as well when they launched the initial Jio SIM in partnership with the Samsung model, where you had to get a Samsung mobile. You had to get a Samsung mobile along with Realme. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So one of the we were discussing the core drive of scarcity. One of the very successful ways by scarcity is used by the Clubhouse app is having an invite only model. Now, the key challenge here for the Clubhouse app was to get their user base to grow quickly and establish its presence in a sea of social media apps. How did they go about it? Was implementing the scarcity code drive by having a exclusive invite only model, and the initial launch was even more exclusive for iPhone users only. By this piece, they had a concept of a part of a waiting list, which increases the FOMO factor. So they engaged the core drive of scarcity to have a very successful launch, and it has been downloaded by over 10 million people now, and the list is still growing. I guess some of you might be using the Clubhouse app as well. It's a very differential app in terms of having a voice chat kind of a group apart from, like, say, WhatsApp or Telegram. The next core drive that we look at is ownership. This is, I think, one of the most simpler core drives that we have. It is about owning something by protecting it and accumulating it. You can customize your own profiles, avatars, which gives you a more ownership feeling. A typical example for us would be collecting stamps. This is about collecting. Why did you collect stamps? Because it gave you an ownership of something. It felt that yes, you have made this collection, and this your own collection. Let's look at one example of this by how core drive of ownership is used in Afghanistan, Istanbul, to protect the environment.
This project is very good because it is important to recycle and pay attention to the environment. I think often have water bottles and I don't know where to put them. I throw them away. Instead, I can use them for my card and then pay for my commute.
So this was a very simple example where Istanbul in Turkey, they implemented the concept of ownership by which you can pay for your own rights using the plastic bottles disposing machine. I think this concept has been now used in Delhi Metro as well as on the Indian railway system in Delhi. I think this is being adopted across India as well. A very successful model by which the key success factors was it is about crushing the plastic bottle, which gives you a ownership feeling that I have contributed my part to the environment. It is not just about getting money, because most people would not care about saving that 50 paisa at 1 rupee kind of a for a per kind of thing. But the core drive of ownership helped them engage for the success factor in this program. So other factors which contributed to this part was the convenient location to effect the change and the small incentives paid out. The last core drive that we look at is accomplishment. It is about achieving something exclusive. Challenge here is the very important part of the core drive, and it focuses most on the points, badges, and leadership, the leaderboard framework. Let's look at one example of PBL framework, how it was used by gamer, used to beat an AIDS-like virus.
Only on 6 this morning, scientists turn to video gamers to help them make a life-saving discovery. WDSU News reporter Rosa Flores is on your sideline for us this morning with the answer to this puzzle. Rosa?
Camille, good morning. Well, the medical community had been trying to decipher the protein structure of an AIDS-like virus for decades. And when gamers got involved, guess what? They cracked the code in just 3 weeks. Here's why this is important. Without a 3D model of these proteins, it's very difficult to create drugs to fight the disease. So here's what happened. The University of Washington created a video game and put gamers to the challenge to break down the blocks of the AIDS-like proteins by using a set of online tools. And this was a competition, folks. The closer the gamers were to a correct answer, the higher the score. Now, scientists say that the key to solving this problem was the use of both computer and human judgment, something computer software in the scientific community had not been able to do. It's a medical breakthrough that scientists here in New Orleans have been following closely. Take a listen.
the gamers were able to solve the structure very quickly and get a structure which now we can, in retrospect, we can go back and look at the structure and nod our heads and say, yeah, this is right.
Now, scientists had asked gamers to help solve other medical problems in the past and had not been successful, but many say that this success will definitely strengthen the relationship between gamers and the scientific community, meaning we can expect more life-saving research coming up. On your side in the newsroom.
So, if you notice that what it's a very complicated task which the scientist community alone was not able to do in deraveling the virus structure, but they used gamification to make a game and set up a challenge for the gamers to accomplish this task, which is how this key challenges. The challenges was to solve this problem, which was more than 10 years old, and use both human and computer judgment together. The gamification framework had them solve, which took gamers just 3 weeks to solve the problem, which is very incredible given the complexity of the task. It was the key success factors here were the big challenge for users and the competition amongst gamers. So now that we have looked at the 8 core drives and the octalysis framework, let's look at how this is a very useful framework in terms of intrinsic versus extrinsic framework. So intrinsic factors, the core drives, the motivation comes from within. It is less tangible and more difficult to measure because empowerment, social influence, and unpredictability, it is very difficult to engage users comparatively. Whereas the left hand side, which is extrinsic factors, which is where the motivation comes from outside, these are easier to influence and measure. Whereas the two remaining core drives of meaning and avoidance, these are somewhere in between, which can be intrinsic and extrinsic depending on how you implement these core drives. Now let's look at the top and bottom halves. The top half is what we call as the white hat motivation, which are the positive motivators such as accomplishment, meaning, and empowerment. Whereas the bottom half is the black hat motivation, which are the negative motivations of scarcity, avoidance, and unpredictability. Generally, as a thumb rule, you should focus on white hat motivation more and compared to black hat motivation. The ownership and social influence core drives are somewhere in between, and again depends on a case to case basis how you implement the gamification framework. So coming to a comparison of intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, the extrinsic motivation, you have to think carrot and stick. There's a reward offered and there is a punishment if you don't follow the rules. From a intrinsic motivation perspective, the primary is which is actually forms the primary design principle for gamification. From an extrinsic motivation perspective, once the reward is removed, it reduces engagement. Whereas in case of intrinsic motivation, it is not motivated by rewards or points. The extrinsic motivation is the value of rewards, which diminishes over time. But in the intrinsic motivation, you enjoy the game, you enjoy the activity. Hence, it is increases engagement much more in intrinsic. Whereas in extrinsic motivation, because of the rewards, it leads to increase in cost. So let's now look at, given that the importance of intrinsic motivation, let's look at self-determination theory, which is a very key factor for forming the basis of gamification design principles. There are 4 key steps in the self-determination theory, which is knowing yourself to value, finding out the value. The second part is to plan. Third part is to act, and the fourth part is to have an experience and a learning mechanism for feedback. So, what is knowing yourself? It is about knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, needs, and preferences of the users or the customers that you want to do gamification for. Only you should know what kind of an option, supports, and expectation does the customer or the user base have with you. This will help you decide what is important for the users, and then from those strengths will come the uniqueness and the rights and responsibilities, which will help you design the game in a very proper manner and help you customize the game for your users. This is about sorry, something saying somebody. Yeah, so it's about developing and nurturing positive relationships with your user group, with your target segment, and the customers. The next step is to plan. Here you set up goals, you plan actions to meet those goals, you do the creativity and the planning part of the thing, of the task, and you anticipate results. Plus, you all do the all visual rehearsals to ensure success. The next part is obviously the most important, which is to act. Here you do the tasks, you design the games, you take risks, you communicate, you negotiate with the users, you deal with the conflicts and criticism, and you have to be persistent in your actions. The last part is the experiencing outcomes and having a constant learning. Here, you compare the outcome to the expected outcome, compare performance to the expected performance, and make adjustments to realize success. So all these four pieces come together in a very simplistic manner to is what we call as a self-determination theory. This feedback loop is the most important part where you have to keep on repeating this process to ensure that the gamification is done in a proper manner. This leads you to the self-determination, leads you to the intrinsic motivation in which people have high self-motivation. They believe that they can control their own lives and base their actions on their own goals and behaviors. A very key challenge for companies today is a lot of employees are disengaged and they feel that they're just not control of their actions or their daily work. With the self-determination theory, you can motivate this your employees, your users, your customers, and so that they take responsibilities for their behaviors, and which leads to corresponding success and failures. A very important part in the self-determination theory is what we call as the gamification flow. Now, you have to ensure that the gamification flow is a balanced flow of skill versus challenge. In the initial piece, you have to have a sense of control. So you have to have clear tasks, goals, and clear feedback mechanism set up. You have to get your users into an immersive experience so that they have a distortion of time. I guess most of us would have had an experience of distortion of time in their favorite task. If you enjoy watching a movie, you would not care whether the movie is 1 hour or 3 hours. If you're watching a good cricket match, you would enjoy watching that match for 5 hours even. How do you control that flow is defined by the gamification flow, in which in the initial part of the piece you have to onboard your users. So in that initial piece you have to have low challenge and a low skill combination, which makes it easier for the users to onboard. You do not want to give them a very high challenge task or a very high skill task. So that ensures your users are onboarded in a simplistic manner. But at the same time, you have to ensure that for skilled users who are high on skill, the challenge is not too low. Otherwise, it will lead to boredom, where the user will feel that I've got better options. This game is just this task is just not engaging. And on the reverse side, you have to ensure that the challenge is not too high as compared to the skill level, which will lead to frustration and anxiety, where the user will feel that I don't understand this. Why should be even doing this? You have to have an optimal flow where the user are fully engaged. So higher the skill level, the higher the challenge level has to be, which makes it interesting for the users to keep playing. Moving on to the next part of our session, which is the gamification elements and design framework. This is a very useful part of the session, given how you go about implementing gamification. So the four elements of games are typically the goals, rules, challenges, and the feedback mechanism. The next part of the session is on the gamification components. So we have got various gamification components, such as the task identified, which is about identifying the various tasks around the desired user behavior, which is the sixth part. Second part is the points assigned to the task. The next part is the rewards, which helps using the total points you can award rewards to the users. The next part is on the next component is streaks, which identify consistent behaviors towards streaks. And the next component is badges, where you identify level of total points toward badges for differentiating users. And leaderboards, such as where you use the total points and badges for running leaderboards to identify winners and create competitions. Most of the sales competitions today are based on this gamification components, where you have points, rewards, and leaderboards to identify who's winning the competition and who are the laggards. There are more elements in more components of gamification, such as avatars, skins, etc., and we can keep going on. Next, we move on to a framework for implementing game design. Here we look at the steps and the key activities along with the key stakeholders. The first step is obviously to have a business objective definition. In this, the key activities is to determine the purpose of gamification, identify the product and the service to be gamified, and this will be typically be done by the product manager, who has to ensure the outcome of the business objectives are defined in a proper manner with some set goals. The next part is to have a game model and characteristics definition. This will be done by typically by a project manager kind of a profile, where you determine the type of game to be utilized, identify suitable game characteristics, and ensure that the game model and characteristics are defined properly. The next is the development methodology, where you use various kinds of softwares and tools to determine the software development process and deploy these suitable tools to get the development going. Here, the key stakeholder is the IT manager, who has to ensure that the turnaround and the development of the gamification is done in a proper manner. The next part is game design and software development, where you build, design, and do testing and determine the process monitoring as well. This will be done by typically by the testing and web designing team. And the last part is the gamification quality control and feedback, where you build quality standards, roll it out to the users, and evaluate current status for implementing the required changes. This will be done by typically an analytics manager, who will look at overall once the game has been rolled out. So, moving on to the last level, which is about gamification around us, and we'll look at a few practical examples such as Flipkart, Amazon, and the future trends and pitfalls. So, I guess most of you would be using Flipkart now, right? There's a game zone already available in Flipkart. What's the any feedback or any views on why Flipkart, despite being a majorly e-commerce and a shopping app, they use this game zone in their app? Anybody?
What we feel like keeping their users and purchasers engaged with the app, as well as providing rewards in sort of thing, asking the consumer to invest more or purchase more, because when you go for these games they provide you tokens, coupons and things which lure yourself towards more purchasing on Flipkart. Could be a good customer bonding strategy.
Very nice. Those are very good responses on why Flipkart uses this gamification in their app. Anybody else? I think the first person he summed it up perfectly. That this is pretty much the kind of objectives that Flipkart is having on engaging users and ensuring that the users keep returning. Because most of us would not do shopping on a daily basis, and if you don't come on the app on a daily basis, come back on to the app on a daily basis, you would not then obviously do shopping. And if you're not coming back to the app again and again, then it's possible you might go to the competition such as Amazon or Snapdeal or whatever the additional apps are. So here we look at few gamification elements in the Flipkart app, which is my points, which they give you a points. They give you very clear tasks in terms of participation. Now, for example, in this game that is going on, they give you various kind of rewards in super coins, and they look at the different elements of the leaderboard. They have a leaderboard going on where they give you very clear outline the rewards for the different kind of programs that are going on, and they also allow you to share this by having a social influence, by where you can show the core drive of social influence, and that where are you in with respect to the your peers in the leaderboard. So this is the core drive of competition and social influence, which is being used in Flipkart. Plus, it also helps you with leaderboard FAQs and how to play and win, which is typically shows you the rewards for the day and how it works, which helps users to stay engaged and be meaningful. So let's look at some more elements which are being used here, which is the completion of task in the Flipkart, where you have to given a simple game, and once you complete the task, you are given points for the task. But this is not actual true gamification. This is actually about playing games. This is about engaging users. But is it really achieving an objective? Yes, probably for making the user come back. But it is not just about making the user come back, right? It's about making the user do achieve some objective of doing some shopping or some profiling. So a few other elements which are used in gamification elements in Flipkart is the value for points, and they show you your recent transactions. Plus, they use the streak methodology to ensure that you come back on a daily basis in the app. Okay, so if you have a 2-day streak and the few, how it works mechanisms for the Flipkart app, which is the key core drives being used here is accomplishment and avoidance. Once you have a streak continuing, it gives you a feeling of accomplishment. Whereas avoidance is the negative motivator here being used to ensure that you do not break your streak. But here I'll now move on to a proper example of how gamification was used in by Flipkart, which is the Flipkart Xmas tree. This was done in 2021 end, which is start of 2022, which was the Christmas play tree. Very fun factor kind of gamification that they used. They launched this in 22nd December. They gave, they did it with proper marketing and everything. Now, if you look at the starting point of this, the task was low complexity and low skill. We looked at the gamification flow, right? So the task at the starting has to be a low complexity, low skill kind of a task where, and you engage the users with the free starting points of 10 water points. There were clear instructions that what you have to do, you have to just go and simply plant a seed. Now, once the user clicked on the planting a seed and the task was completed, there was a level up which was automatically given to the users that you have started your tree and you can track your progress. But the code drive being used here is accomplishment. Your seed has been sprouted and your tree is the code drive is ownership. Now you have planted a tree, it is your ownership, it is your duty to water your tree. This was an actual very fun and engaging way in which Flipkart ensured that users had to come back daily to water the tree. Okay, so it also gave certain rewards on completion of tasks such as 50 50 rupees of coupons and the different kind of rewards that were offered. Plus there were clear instructions for task completion in the Flipkart X Mastery gamification. Now, they used points for leveling up, which is again the points, badges, and leaderboard framework. Plus, they gave different kind of reports. Once you moved up the level, let's say to a level 11, there were the tasks now moved from a low complexity, low skill to medium complexity, medium skill. So now the tasks were very different as compared to where you started out. And there was a clear timeline also given for completion that this event is ending in 40 days. There were free points were also given where you had to come back in X hours to which was using the code drive of avoidance. There were rewards for leveling up and there were rewards for continuing the games. Here, the mystery rewards the code drive used was the unpredictability where you had to come back and find out what was the mystery reward actually about. Now, this was one of my favorite parts of this Flipkart Express Tree gamification, where you had to look at, you were given different kind of badges and levels where you had to level up. You had your price increases and locked rewards incentivized to continue playing. Okay. Now this, sorry, this not the previous slide. This was the slide where the objectives, there were different tasks given to the users and differentiating between daily and weekly tasks. Now let's just spend 2 minutes here on the importance part of this, where you were given tasks such as watching an ad, playing 3 stages of snakes, or adding to wish list your 2 favorite laptops, 2 favorite smart TVs. Now what was Flipkart actually doing here? Now, look, normally, if you look at gamification, they would simply send you some kind of a promo or some kind of a notification saying, you can shop for your favorite TV. That would not really engage users because the user might not be, in a fun mode. But as part of this gamification, as part of this Flipkart Express free program, they gave you tasks by which you have to wish list your favorite TV to win 200 droplets. So a lot of users actually helped, did they went and did this. So what is the Flipkart objective actually? Flipkart objective is not to wish list your TV. It is actually to get you to buy a TV. It is actually to get you to buy a laptop and buy clothes, okay, or watch ads for that matter. Now, plus a very important objective for Flipkart was to collect data from wish list. It helps you know the customer profile, which you would not answer in a normal profile kind of a section. In the Flipkart section, you would not have profile would not say that please list your favorite TV brand or list your favorite laptop. But by this gamification program, they were able to know the customer profile, which helped them to plan inventory and also push customized notifications to their user base. Next, moving on to gamification, another very fun component, if you look at Flipkart, is the solving of crime mysteries. I don't know if you have played this game. Here, the Flipkart objective was to engage users for the web series, but a very key component was the object outcome of this game was not predetermined. typically in a game you had to have a you tend to have a defined outcome, but in this crime mysteries, depending on what steps you took, was the outcome of the web series in the end. So in the engagement of unpredictability code drive was really used by Flipkart in this in the crime mystery videos. Now let's look at some other examples of gamification by Amazon. I think Amazon uses the quiz model by in quiz manner of gamification to sell, inform users of different kind of products and the profiles that they have by, for example, if you want to educate users that what is the amount you need to spend for watching content on Amazon Mini TV. So they put it as a quiz, so that will help user retain that yes, there's something free I can watch on Amazon Mini TV rather than just putting some kind of a notification or an ad. Similarly, you can tell that mini host TV host content from what all genres. It includes content from all different kind of genres, and it gives you some kind of a reward as well at the end of the day. So you can educate users on the different kind of product features that you have. Let's look at a few other examples on brand quiz of Amazon products. So here, Amazon is actually making money from this kind of gamification. They have now different brands have now started rolling out quizzes on Amazon apps such as Pediasure, Cadbury, where you can they can promote your products, they can promote products by watching a video and then actually playing a quiz. So this is a typical example of gamification. It's not just about making the users watch a video, where most users will not watch a video on Pediasure. But if you tell them that yes, there is a quiz at the end of the after you watch the video and you'll get to win some prizes, that is where true gamification is being done by Amazon in engaging the users and help them actually achieve the objective of watching the video. Playing the quiz and giving some kind of reward is just incremental to the game, but that those are key components for the Amazon to engage the users for brand quiz on the Amazon app. And once you have watched the video, then you can answer the questions which are typically defined with the brand, which will help users retain key benefits on the of the product, which is Pediasure here for bone growth and muscle strength. Okay, closer to my profile, my company, which is MyGeo, where we are using Asian Paints. I'm giving example of Asian Paints here, which has been used in MyGeo app today for engaging of users there, where they have different kind of gamification elements such as quiz, word search, and estimating the budget for getting to know your price. So you can play a word quiz for different kind of paint related words. You can have quiz on the video, and you can estimate the budget. The brand objectives here was to engage the users and educate the users on the product features. This lead to a increased sales and revenue for Asian Paints from the MyGeo platform. Okay, moving forward. Now, this is one of my favorite examples of gamification. On the left hand side, you can see there's a father who's trying to motivating the kid to learn a second language. Now, that is a very, having said that, it's a very complicated and a very tough task to motivate anybody to learn a second language. But introducing Duolingo, I think a lot of you might have even, some of you would have even used this, which is the best ways how gamification is being used to learn a language.
Everybody agrees, Duolingo is a great way to learn a language. It's addictive because languages are split into bite-sized skills that feel like games. You lose a life when you get something wrong, and you earn points when you complete a lesson. Duolingo teaches you to read, write, listen, and speak, and it's extremely effective. In fact, an independent study found that 34 hours on Duolingo are equal to a whole university semester. A semester of knowledge that you can fit into your breaks, commutes, and moments spent waiting in line. Language, free at last.
So, just to know from the group, has anybody actually used Duolingo? Anyone? If not, please go and try it. if you are interested in learning a language, whether it's Spanish, German, or any French or any of the languages, please go and try it. My daughter has been using it to learn Spanish, and she's been really a big fan of this app. And the way how they have, simplified and gamified the concept of learning a language. Okay, moving forward. So, what are the do's and don'ts for gamification? So, a few do's would be obviously to align gamification with your objectives and not to confuse the learner. Then, always provide clear instructions to complete the game and don't make rewards as the main theme. Because if you make rewards as the main theme, then you will overrun your cost and your budgets, and it will not lead to desired results outcomes. It will not be a positive ROI, which is not the desired result of gamification. You should always allow users to choose their path to reach the game objectives. You should not try to manipulate the game so that the users feel that this is a set objective process that I have to follow to achieve this game. Then they'll feel that this is not actually a game but some kind of a process they have to follow, which will lead to low user engagement, and hence it will lead to failure of gamification. Then you should always challenge the users to achieve the goal and not overemphasize the game mechanics. End of the day, it has to be simple, clear, and very fun way of engaging users in a game, in the game, and not overemphasizing some whether it's graphics on those things. Last, you have to focus on intrinsic motivation and not extrinsic motivation, because intrinsic motivation helps you run in the long run, whereas this extrinsic motivation is only for the short term and will give you only the short term results. Let's now look at reasons for gamification failures. So the first one is obviously poor design, where you only focus on points, leaderboards, and badges. The PLB framework. You have to focus on the core drives as given in the core drive framework, Octalysis framework. Also, you need to ensure that the rewards are not similar. They have to are underwhelming. The rewards have to be distinguished by the kind of level, the kind of skill, the kind of complexity of the task, as well as the stages of the game that you are playing. You need to have another reason for failure is the limited user customizations. Treating all users similar. If you have a wide user base, you have to segment the users and ensure that there is customization as per the segment group or your customer or your target groups of the customer base. Next, you have to ensure that you're not gamifying only one area of business. You have to gamify end-to-end objective. Otherwise, it will not lead to proper engagement, and the user will not really come back to for repetitive tasks. Last, you have to obviously have teamwork. If you have a lack of teamwork without celebrating each other wins, it will not be a proper gamification framework. And last, you have to ensure that gamification is not just a quick fix. You cannot just achieve gamification for one part or one objective. You have to keep continuously refining it with the constant feedback and user engagement. Next, we look at a few growth drivers of the gamification market. I think a few of them are pretty apparent, which is the rapid growth of smartphones. Earlier, it was very difficult to engage users in some kind of a gamification scenario because you do not really have the mechanisms to engage users. But with the rapid growth of smartphones and internet services, it is much more easier now to have engage users in 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 gamification. Apart from smartphones, anybody would like to guess one key component that is changing in our homes today, which is a big enabler for gamification? Anybody would like to give their opinion? Any guesses? It's the clue is there in the picture.
So, as far as my thought is concerned, I think gamification's best example in this current scenario we can see in cricketing industry. I think in recently 1 decade back there was no huge money, millions of money was involved in this sector, and currently we can see with the help of various gaming apps which enhance the use of money in this particular.
Yes, that's a good answer. Still, anybody else? Okay, so apart from smartphones, while the answer was good, the example that is one example of how gamification is being used. But from a growth driver perspective, it is not just smartphones; it is just smart TVs now. In the homes, with the broadband and the smart TVs coming in, you can now engage users in AR, VR, and mixed reality kind of scenarios, which is a big driver for gamification. COVID-19, obviously, a lot of people were, locked up in their homes, which accelerated the time invested on internet and smart devices. And the next level of gaming is obviously the gamification of artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and virtual reality. I guess you have your smartphones, and these are going up in sales already. Smartphone has crossed over 3.5 billion smartphones across the world. So, what does future of gamification hold for us? The future of gamification is all about mobile-first gamified solutions. I think most apparent because mobile is the most, it's the most common device. It's hit in your hand almost 16 hours a day, over 16 hours a day. So you need to have mobile-first gamified solutions. The next is the immersive technologies of AR, VR, and mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality, where metaverse and these technologies are coming up in a big manner for the futures of gamification. The next part is the artificial intelligence integration with gamified solutions, and Internet of Things now is coming up, which will help you sync with gamification in a big manner. Last piece, personalization will only increase as we go forward in gamification. So coming to the last part of gamification, let's look at a couple of videos of how gamification is being here in this video. Gamification is being used by Walmart to engage the users for the future of shopping.
Howdy! Thanks for visiting Walmart. I will be your shopping assistant module today, but you can call me Sam for short. Okay, let's get started. I have your shopping list loaded up, and I'm tracking your oil change so I can let you know as soon as it's done.
So if you look at it, what they did, you had to just feed your shopping list, and the shopping list is already preloaded. But at the same time, they will continue to engage the users for the virtual shopping experience.
You see the tomato sauce on your left? Go ahead and grab that and then place it in your cart. Great. Looks like you need a good wine pairing. Take a look to your right.
So look at this. Now here they are actually doing upselling by cross selling by you, because you did something from a tomato cube. There's also giving you suggestions to buy a wine and complete details of
चक्षु
store.
सर
जो आपने वो चलाए हैं, जो पहले प्रोग्राम चले हैं,
Sorry, somebody saying
अरे
something.
जिसमें आपने लिस्ट बनाई
Vinod
है,
sir, kindly mute.
ये वाइज जो आपने प्रोग्राम यहाँ ऑर्गेनाइज किए हैं.
मैम डन 2-3 लोगों ने एक साथ किया था ऑन.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, so if you look at the different kind of the personalization and the virtual experience that they are giving to the users.
Go ahead and grab that and then Great. Looks like you need a good wine pairing. Take a look to your right. Your age has already been pre-verified through your profile, so no need to wait for an ID check. Just place the item in your cart whenever you're ready. I'm getting a notification from your connected smart fridge. It looks like you already have a full gallon of milk at home. Should we put this one back?
So this is a typical example of the IoT thing that I spoke about. The notification from the smart fridge sent to the customer told that you've already got milk at home. You do not need to purchase extra milk from the Walmart. So that is another, how they are trying to level up from their shopping experience.
Good news, your oil change is done. Your vehicle will be ready at the Tire and Lube Express. I've added the service charge to your cart. Now for the fun stuff. To electronics. You definitely saved the best for last. This TV has great reviews on Walmart.com. Add it to your cart, and I'll have it brought to the front for you. Need any accessories? Here are some options on jet.com.
So this is typically an upsell in the gamification model, where you just because you bought a TV, it gave you accessories to the TV that you can buy along with such as a cable or a connector for the smart TV.
Looks like that's everything on your list. Are you ready to check out with Walmart Pay? I'll have the TV brought out to your car. Thanks for shopping at Walmart. Have a great day.
So this is a typical example of how Walmart is trying to gamify their shopping experience in the forward, because they do not want to open up more and more stores for their digital presence, and they are trying to gamify the digital shopping experience in this manner. Any views or opinions of how did you like this process? What kind of a code drives did they use in this approach?
Are they already using it?
No, they are not using it. They are in the process of testing this and developing this mechanism.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Coming to the last part of our presentation, I will move on to a very interesting video of how gamification can be taken to the next level. This is obviously a sci-fi stuff. Okay, and it's more kind of a perception or somebody's imagination, but it's a very interesting way of the kind of level you can take gamification up to.
Excellent. Perfect. Good job. Excellent. Well done. Level complete.
Sorry. So the first part of the video is about how gamification was used by the person to do their exercise. Now, obviously, most of us feel exercise is a very painful task, but here it was converted into a game by ensuring that to ensure that the users completed their daily exercise in a proper fun manner.
Welcome.
So this is again a very simple gamification concept of how you want to gamify your cutting of vegetables. cutting vegetables, cooking of vegetables, all that piece, how you can gamify. Obviously, this is fairly sci-fi stuff and futuristic stuff, but this is just having a
Life is
very
a
vivid
journey.
imagination.
And in this journey, we all want to do more, experience more, feel more, and live with no boundaries. And why shouldn't we? Sight System presents Sightseeing. Feel free to go anywhere. Reminder, date at 9 p.m. Choose outfit.
Patrick. Patrick. Oh, hi. Hi, Daphne. How are you? Sorry.
So this is gamification in daily lives, where the person is gonna use gamification and how to do better, how to behave on a dating date.
You look great.
Thank you.
Love your jacket.
Thanks. It's a sports jacket, so it's a lot less official than it looks.
What do you mean?
Sorry?
What's the difference between a sports jacket and a normal one?
I guess a sports jacket is for people who want to look good even when they're chased by the police. Anyway, I hope you're hungry. This place has the best burgers in town.
Oh, actually, I'm vegetarian.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Because you didn't say it on your profile, so.
Well, I don't write everything on my profile.
Do you want to go somewhere else?
No, it's okay. I'll find something on the menu.
Well, how about a glass of wine for starters?
Yeah. Great.
So, are there any other things on your profile that you didn't write about that I should know, or aren't you scared of jogging by yourself in the city?
Not really. Besides, I'm about to hit level 5 on Marathon Master.
Pretty impressive.
I know. What is scary though? On my last route, my site crashed. So scary. I didn't see anything. I couldn't find my way home.
Site doesn't crash.
Oh, it did. I was totally lost. I didn't see anything.
That doesn't happen since our last patch.
Do you work there or something? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What do you do there?
Nothing serious. I'm just a simple engineer.
Actually, I read about your company in the news. Is it true that you guys influence stuff and manipulate people's sites?
It's just bullshit. But anyway, I don't want to talk about work. Not when I'm here with such a pretty lady.
You really get me.
So this is about a very futuristic way of how gamification can be used, but I guess it will take we are some time away from there. Now, moving to the last, I guess we are pretty much towards the end of the session. Any questions that you would have? We can have a discussion for the last 5 minutes.
Yes, participants, any queries on your side? Anyone from GITM Lucknow? You may unmute, and if anything you wish to yes, sir.
No, ma'am, I have no queries.
Sir, I think it was a wonderful session.
Yeah, just I'll take 5 more minutes before you conclude. So, one more important point. I think we discussed at the start there will be a prize for you, right? So, prize, we discussed the gamification and the Octalysis framework by Dr. Yukai Cho. Now, this course is being offered to each one and every one of you. This course is on Udemy and it's worth 7,500. So, how many of you are interested in paying 7,500 for this course? I guess not many people would not be interested in paying for the course, but because you attended this course with us today, and I know this person, so this is a very fairly good course. It's been taken by over 20,000 people with 4.5 rating, and this course is now free for all of you. Okay, I'll share this link with Dr. Harsh. he can share this across with every one of you. You can go and attend this course for free. This is
Okay.
actually a
Is it
7,000
for
rupees.
both faculty as well as students?
Yes, all of you can join this course for free.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
We'll share with the participants.
Yeah, you can share this link with the team, and these are just few of the further reading. So I am a big fan of this guy, to be honest, Yu Kai Cho. He's actually building his own metaverse on gamification principles. If somebody is interested, we can have a further discussion on the in an offline manner on this. Thank you, everybody. Would just like to say, while the session is over, but the game is never over. Thank you. So